Okay. I'm super excited about this podcast because it's with my best friend from 7th and 8th grade, Becky Wood. Her last name's Clinton now, but she's always going to be Becky Wood to me. I know I've talked about her a ton on this podcast. She was such an important, pivotal person in my life. Her, not just her, but her entire family, her mom, her dad, and her 2 brothers and sister. We grew up directly across the street from each other, and I spent every waking moment I possibly could at their house. And I think that's how I learned what a real family looks like, with like warts and all. They always loved each other. They fought like cats and dogs, and they loved like cats and dogs. And dad was in love with mom. Mom was in love with dad. And it was just a great, great thing to experience at that time in my life. So I've wanted to talk to Becky forever because I really think that our friendship taught me what friendship is supposed to be. So I was very lucky to have a friend that was as loyal and as loving, as kind, as inclusive, as fun. We laughed and had so much fun growing up doing just nothing or doing our homework together. We just had a blast. And I'm so grateful to her. And I'm so grateful for her to come on this podcast and talk to me about how we were friends. So I know it's not my typical podcast, but I hope you enjoy it. Becky's such a lovely person. And maybe, I don't know, I learned some things in this podcast about how I form friendships these days. I mean, I guess I had thought about how Becky affected how I choose my friends in the present, but I hadn't really articulated it till this podcast. I like measure people against that friendship to see not if they're better or worse, but if they fit in that same box. You know, that box was such a good box that I want my friends to fit in that same box. So maybe it'll help you too. Anyway, we're still reading Daisy Jones and the Six for our book club book. Is coming up in a couple weeks. Feel free to read too, so you can enjoy our discussion. And thanks for coming back every week. Thanks for your emails. Thank you for your podcast suggestions. I've gotten some really good ones lately. Some of them that I'm actually working on trying to find some people who can talk about those topics. So thank you for those suggestions. And I hope you enjoy my catch-up, chit-chat, Zoom podcast with Becky Clanton. Oh my God. I'm so excited to see you. I'm so excited.
It's so much better to see you when we're talking than texting and on the phone.
I know.
I love your wallpaper. God.
Thank you. I love your pink shirt.
So cute. Yeah, I got my pink on.
That's good. How the heck are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
What's happening in Georgia?
To see you.
I know. I'm so happy to see you too.
I know. I miss you.
I miss you too.
It's rainy night in Georgia.
Oh, well.
It's been raining all day. So other than that, it's just, we're Hollywood. I was looking at something today on Twitter, and I noticed a studio that's here, and believe it or not, it's in Norcross.
Nuh-uh.
And it's the largest one in the United States. It's where Ozark, all these, you'll have to look, I'll have to get the name for you, but they were talking about everything starting to ramp back up. But it's over off Jimmy Carter, like at Jimmy Carter and Beaver Run, kind of close to where we were.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just crazy how, So
that is crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So cool.
Lots of things are filmed here, so, but everything's good. What about you?
Oh my God, Becky, I love you so much. I miss you.
I know. When your girls are older, we're going to have to make time.
Yes.
My boys are older, so I've got a 23, almost 23, and no, almost 24 and 25, 23 and 25. So,
oh my God,
they're older. It's still different, but once your girls are a little bit older, you'll be able to, hopefully I can come out, but then hopefully you can come out too. And
for sure.
When they're in college, and because I miss you and I just want to spend time with you. I'm going to make it out to California one day.
Well, you come on out. We got plenty of room now.
My doggies hold me. My Lily, I was looking at my pictures. My Lily's 11, and I hate to, I don't like to leave her right now. So I want to make a trip all the way up the coast because I've never even been to California. So
it's different.
I know. I don't think I'll stay.
I might just keep you. I won't let you leave.
Yeah. Or maybe you could just have a second home here one day.
Maybe, maybe we talk about all the time buying my daddy's lake house at some point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can't let that go. You can't let that go.
We won't let it go. Everybody's still using it. There's no reason for us to buy it. Daddy's still, his wife has 9 no, I think more than that. 9, 10 or 11 grandkids. So they're there every weekend. There's no need.
Right.
They're still using it.
I love your dad.
So do I.
He
loves you. He's always loved you and your whole family.
I've thought about him a lot recently, and I was thinking, I saw when you did the podcast with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just brought back a lot of memories of the cabin. And I thought about, part of what I love so much about him is my daddy, as wonderful as he was, worked so much.
Mm-hmm.
And your dad was the first time I ever experienced a dad so hands-on.
Uh-huh.
And, he taught me to ski, water ski. And I just loved that coming to the lake with you, because I just felt I loved that hands-on. He was just with us and did everything, really anything we wanted to do. That may have been just when I was there, but you know what I mean? He just catered to anything we wanted to do and was so laid back and just up for anything. And so I always tell everybody the story of when he taught me to ski. I was scared of snakes. And he said, "Oh, no, those snakes can't bite underwater. It'll be on the top." I didn't know that was not the truth.
That was a lie.
I found out later, like somebody fell in a pit of snakes on Lake Lanier or whatever. And I'm like, oh, wait, now Jimmy Kemp didn't tell me the truth. I would have never skied otherwise, though.
It was a little lie to get you through.
It was. So that was so much fun. And I love that. I'll always be thankful to him for teaching me how to. I couldn't ski now, but hey, I did it when I was younger, right?
That's right. That's all that counts. The thing about Daddy is he had only one kid. You were one of 4.
Yeah.
That's a big luxury to just have one. So Annie didn't have me all the time.
Yeah.
So when I did show up, it was my show. And then he could go back and work. Your dad didn't have that luxury.
Yeah.
He came home every day to the same house with 4 kids. So it was, I bet it was a different experience, because, your house to me was like a godsend. I mean, way more than just learning how to ski.
Yeah. I know.
It was a life ring in a storm. So for people who don't know, the people on this podcast know who you are, because I've talked about you for years. You know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard some. I've heard some.
Yeah. So Becky was my best friend in 7th and 8th grade. And I think really, in a lot of ways, I think we're so connected, because every time we talk to each other, even as adults, I feel like I just talked to you last week.
Oh yeah. It'll never. We catch up just like that. I mean, there'll never be any time. I mean, it feels like no time's passed.
It does. And I wonder why? Is it just that we were just so well matched as friends?
I think so. I think we were so connected. I've thought about our friendship a lot. So for me, I went from private. So I had been in little small Christian private schools from kindergarten through 6th. So when you moved in across the street, I was starting public school for the first time. And I think the age we were at was the prime age for where you needed, like I had my sister and my brothers, and it was kind of that circle, but I was the oldest and I was ready to have that friendship. We were just that prime age, I think. And we just connected instantly. Instantly. It was like you moved in and that was it.
It's true. It was like that. It was immediate. It was such a gift on so many levels, because not only because of what my childhood was like, but it taught me how to be a friend. Because
me too.
Friendship should be really easy, right?
Yeah.
Friendship should be effortless. It should be no drama. There should be no secrets. There should be no sneaky. There should be no. It should just be easy. I was actually talking to Isla about this last night as a coincidence. We were talking about emotional vampires and how you have to start recognizing them, because she has a couple in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, your friendship should make you feel energized. Like when that person leaves, you should feel full and happy and no drama and easy. That's the way it's supposed to feel. And you were the first person that I felt that way with, other than family, obviously.
Yeah, you too. You too. I mean, it was just instant, and it was, it just meant so much to me. When we reconnected, and it's been years ago now, but the first time that I talked to you after a period of time, and I had always forever, like I wondered where you were and wondered, because we kind of lost touch for a little bit. And when you talked to me and you said your friendship meant so much, I was like, oh my gosh, because I'd always wondered, did my friendship to you mean as much as your friendship meant to me? Because your friendship meant so much to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, you really were like a sister, but it wasn't my sister though. I mean, you were my best friend. And, like I can remember being a teenager, I was selfish. I hated when you had to go to your dad's. I was, I wanted you around all the time. And I think your mom was just like, here you go, and I'm like, well, this is great because I want her here anyways. But we just did everything together. And we had so much fun, and it was just, and the thing that's crazy is, you move in and I'm like, hey, you're going to be, what grade are you in? I'm going to be in 7th. I'm going to be in 7th. And we end up in the same homeroom.
I know.
That was fate. That was purposeful there. I mean, I think that was God's intention for us to connect, because had we not been in homeroom, I think we still would have been best friends. But I mean, the thing was, we were together. And I don't remember us ever, you may, but I don't remember us ever arguing hardly at all. I mean, and you literally were with, I wanted you with me 24/7.
Yes, and I was happy to oblige, because I was sitting at home by myself with my cat. Yeah. And your family, I've said this to you, but your family showed me what I wanted in my life. Yeah. So I created what I lived in when I pretty much lived with you. Yeah. Because I did get up, walk across the street, see if Margie had some biscuits.
Biscuits, yeah.
She did. I definitely ate a biscuit. We get on the school bus. We go to school. I get off the school bus almost every day. I just go straight to your house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I loved watching the sibling dynamic, because I'm an only child.
Right.
And you fight with like siblings do. Yeah. Everybody fight with everybody. And I just thought it was the most amazing, delicious, awesome entertainment ever. Ever. Because the four of you were such strong personalities,
Right.
Nobody's
different.
And so different. Yeah. And Benji was so young. I don't remember anybody really fighting with Benji, but I remember you fighting with Lee, you fighting with Amy fighting with Lee, and everybody fighting with each other. And I just thought, this is the loudest. This is the loudest, most insane house, and can I never leave?
Yep. I know. And, I never realized until we talked and reconnected and you shared that with me. I never realized. I just thought I was so lucky that I had you to be my best friend. You know what I mean? I just thought I was blessed that I got to have those years with you and all the memories. And I never realized what an impact. So I'm so glad you shared that with me, because I never, until you told me that, however many years ago, I never knew that. I never knew what an impact being in our house and all that had.
It was enormous. It was life-changing. I think a lot of the times, what would have happened, what choices would I have made had we not moved across the street from you? Had we just moved one neighborhood over? Right. Would we have ever been friends? I completely believe that God has a path, that God put us in that house, that God put us in homeroom together. That was not a mistake. That was a gift. And as much as you think it's a gift for you, I'm pretty sure it was just for me.
No, it was for me too. It was for me too. And I can remember, all the things, but for me, like, you were my first friend and maybe it's because we connected so much, but like, to me, in my memories, like, you were just so easygoing, and like, what I like to do, you like to do. And I was thinking about pictures. Like, you were my first friend that I enjoyed taking. We had to take pictures together, pictures of each other, and I don't know. We just connected so easy, and we had so much fun. We had so much fun.
We had fun doing the stupidest things, right? So I'm telling my kids, I don't even know if you remember this. I was telling my kids stories about me and you hanging out when we were younger. And I was like, they had a pasture in their backyard, had cows in it. And we would sometimes just, mess around in the pasture. Yeah. And one time I was sitting, like, you had a barbed wire fence and it had a piece of wood across the top of the barbed wire fence. I was sitting on that piece of wood and it broke.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember that?
Yeah,
And it split my whole butt cheek
oh, yeah,
open.
I remember that. I remember that.
I
Do you
still have
remember?
a scar like this long on my butt cheek.
Well, you had scars here too from
I don't
barbed wire
have
one time.
You see it right? I don't know if you can see it. It's right here.
Yeah,
See it?
that was the epic.
That was epic. That was Halloween. Now, this is what's awesome about your daddy, because this was a lot like my daddy. He would have done this too, but I never had as many friends as you had. And I know they were my friends too, but I always felt like that big group of friends we
Right.
had were really your friends, and
Right.
I was your friend, and they were all
Right.
your friends, right? So you were having a sleepover. How many people were there? It was a big sleepover.
There's no telling.
It was a van. It was a van full.
Yeah, we had that big conversion van.
You had it. I'll never forget it. It was white and had burgundy
Yep,
stripes and
Yep.
burgundy velvet interior, and it
Yep.
had the tables in the middle with the drink holders.
Yep. And the little
I
sink in it. That was a water bucket or water thing underneath, probably filled up, but it had a little sink. Yeah,
You had a sink. I mean, they should bring those things back. They were pretty awesome.
I know.
So we piled all these kids in this van and went and rolled yards. And I never forget, because your family's so big, your mom shopped at what is like Sam's Club or Costco. But back then, those things weren't really like they are now, where they're just on, every corner practically. That was super exclusive. So to me, I was like, whoa, they have like a membership to a place and they buy a case of toilet paper at a time. And so he just got all this toilet paper that you just had and got in this van and rolled yards all over, I don't know, our neighborhood. And then the last victim was down the street.
Yeah.
And everybody got out of the car and started rolling yards. And that guy, do you remember he was asleep?
He came chasing. Yeah, he was scary.
Very scary. And I got really scared and I ran into a barbed wire fence and then went under it and ran across the street and ran back and ran into the same barbed wire fence covered in blood. And I ran into a wooden fence because it was super dark and I couldn't see. And I came in the house and y'all didn't even know I was gone.
Well, there were so many people and everybody was so chaotic and whatever. Yeah, we're all just kind of standing around and laughing and huffing and puffing. And then all of a sudden you come in, oh my God, you were traumatized. And we're bleeding and we're like, oh my God.
I had blood everywhere. I cut my calf. I still have scars on my stomach, but we will not be showing that. And my chest. And I had some like in my armpit. I mean, I got wrapped up. It was bad.
And it's one of those things too, where you don't know the amount of time that passed. Like, I don't know if really we were back for 5 minutes or if we were back for 30 minutes and I don't know. I don't know. Remember, you were traumatized and then we were all like, oh my gosh, what happened?
Your dad was there. Your dad was there sitting at the dining room table at the head of the table, and he started laughing.
Oh, yeah. He thought it was the funniest.
He did. He was laughing. He had the best laugh, too. His laugh came from his gut, and it was gravelly and deep, and he made me sit in his lap, and I was so embarrassed that I was bleeding and sitting in his lap, and I couldn't get myself under control. I couldn't make myself stop crying. I was doing the
I know you were that.
It was hysterical.
I know, and I don't know how long you were. I mean, yeah, because we were back, and we didn't. I mean, and the craziness of everything, we didn't realize you hadn't come back yet, and you came. And I can remember feeling so bad because I thought, oh my gosh, she thinks we forgot her, And
I think you said, I thought you were in the bathroom.
Yeah, I didn't know. That was crazy. Yeah, you couldn't do things like that. We couldn't toilet paper yards.
Not now.
No.
Nope, not now.
No, and it was dark back then because, Norcross was tiny. I mean, it was a small town still.
Yeah, there's no street lights.
There were no street lights or anything.
And they were turning all these farms into subdivisions.
Well, yours was. Mr. Loudermilk owned that land where your neighborhood ended up. And then if you were facing your house, remember the house on the right, which is up there where we were rolling, he had guineas, those little guineas. And then what they were called, those birds, that was still kind of pasturing those guineas. And yes, I mean, it was still pretty. It wasn't like Swanee when I moved to Swanee. Now, Swanee was dirt roads and at least our road was paved, but it was still, there were no street lights. It got dark.
Got really dark. Trust me, I know.
I know. And I can remember us going down to the barn. I remember the cows would pin us up in the loft.
Yes.
We were scared of the cows, and we'd be scared to come down. And that party, was that the Halloween party? Or one year we had a Halloween party and we had dry ice. It was down in the barn, and we had all the dry ice. And so we had fun. They turned that barn into my grandmother, Granny Talent.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up turning that into her house.
I remember that.
Yeah, after we moved. And my Uncle Eddie bought it. He turned that into Granny Talent's house, and she lived there for a while. But yeah, it was sad when we moved. I hated that. I thought about, what would have happened differently had we not. Like, I wonder if you still would have gone to live with your dad, once we got into high school, or if you maybe would have stayed, or if your mom would have stayed, that would have kind of I think if your mom would have left, you still would have stayed with us. We stayed.
I think I would have. I think if I hadn't, if you hadn't moved, it would have been a very difficult choice. But I remember deciding when I was 7 that I just have to wait till I'm 13 and then I can live with my dad.
Right.
So my plan was always to end up with
go
him.
Live with him.
Yeah, because the guy that you experienced water skiing, that's who I loved. I mean, I had a great home with my dad. It was very loving and nurturing. And, he didn't really see me as a girl or a boy, just as his kid. And we went fishing and did all kind of fun stuff all the time. He was a really good parent, really balanced and easy to be around and easy to talk to. And
that's still him now.
Same guy. He exactly
is. When I see him building stuff, when you post the pictures of him building stuff and whatever, I think that's just Jimmy Kemp. He ain't changed. And I can remember, even when we were there, say we did something or whatever, he may say girls. I mean, he never got mad. He never got, even in his correction of, say we were doing something or being silly or being whatever, it was never ugly or mean, or he's just so laid back. And so he's just a good guy. You got a good daddy.
I got a real good daddy. So did you.
Oh, yes. My daddy was the best. I loved my daddy. Yeah. He was awesome. He was awesome.
He was.
I do think, though, for you, like I remember coming up once you were at Bowden. And I think for me somewhat, too, Norcross, even though it wasn't that big, I mean, it was way bigger than North Gwinnett, where I ended up at, or Bowden. And I think we both probably thrived more. I can remember coming up with your mom. You were in a pageant one time, and then I came to a football game to see you cheer. And I think at Norcross, neither one of us, would have maybe had a chance of cheering or had a chance of, because I think would have got more lost in the crowd. So I think it was I think that was another kind of God thing. That was his plan for us both, is that we went on to smaller schools, where we could kind of grow more and thrive. And because I can remember going up and being really happy for you when I saw you. Aww. When I went and saw you cheer, I was happy for you. I missed you. But I was happy for you. And then when I saw you in the pageant that time, I was so proud of you.
Aww.
That you had done that. You know what I mean? Because I could just tell you had blossomed, and your confidence and everything was just so awesome. So I was just proud of you.
That's so sweet, Becky. I used to come see you in Swanee too. I remember you having a party in your basement, and slow dancing with somebody in your basement.
Oh yeah,
I think a little short guy named Rodney, maybe.
He was Rodney Pittard, probably.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. That's his last name.
Yeah, he ended up marrying a girl that graduated with Lee, but he's still in Swanee. He's got 2 boys, and he's still a cutie. He's a cutie. He's the sweetest. Rodney Pittard.
Yep, he was a very sweet guy.
He is.
No hanky-panky, just a dance. That was it. Yeah, I was happy for you, too, because you made fast friends there in North Gwinnett.
Yeah.
You made fast friends, and I thought that's good, and I think you're right. So what do you think I think I know what the purpose was it was only 2 years we lived across, not even, because you moved in the middle of 8th grade.
I moved we moved in February or March. It was toward the end.
Okay.
We were supposed to move in December. Maybe I don't remember. I think we're supposed to move in December, and I can't remember if I went. No, I don't think. I know I didn't switch schools till February or March, so it must have been then. I think it got delayed a little, but still, the whole 8th grade year was the whole thing of I'm moving. Like I couldn't try out for basketball, cheerleading because I was moving, and then we ended up not moving like we thought we were as soon. But the whole year was just the dread of I'm moving.
Yes. It was hard. It was really hard. And I think your dad knew it was going to be hard for me. Maybe your mom too. I wonder, because your dad, not that your mom didn't talk to me, but your dad had like talks with me.
Yeah, he loved you. Yeah. He would have brought you with us.
He asked to bring me with you. He said, I have a room right next to Becky's room, and that's your room. Mm-hmm. So you can come live with me. I would love it if you would come live with us. And I said, no, my dad is picking me up. My dad picked me up in a moving truck from 8th grade graduation. Yeah. So I was moving out. But, I was so embarrassed when your dad asked that. I think, kids that have kind of troubled home life don't really want anybody to know. Right. And I think that he knew really embarrassed me.
That's what I was going to say. So my daddy, I think, because he had not met your dad and really knew your dad, but knew, I think as me, looking back, I mean, we were 13, 14. To me, your mom, because I was clueless, was glamorous.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
She was.
There were things that I felt very uncomfortable about sometimes when I was there, or things I didn't like that I just wanted to bring you back to but I wasn't smart enough or mature enough to fully realize the extent. You know what I mean? Because I was just like, hey, let's just go to the skate rink. Let's just go whatever. Let's go to the beach. Let's go. I didn't ever take the time to stop and think, but I wasn't mature enough. No. My dad, I think, did not like, and I think he didn't fully know, but I think his thoughts of what could possibly, he just knew. Mm-hmm. He just knew you weren't, I think, in the best environment probably. Mm-hmm. And I think it really, really hurt him. I mean, really bothered him. Mm-hmm. So I think he wanted to protect you. Mm-hmm. Is what I think. And I think my mom, you were just one more of her kids as far as she was concerned. Mom never cared how many kids we had. I mean, she didn't. I mean, she probably didn't know who was there half the time, unless she counted heads. I mean, I think there was something in my dad that really wanted to protect you.
Yeah.
And he didn't know your dad. So I think he fully wanted to bring you with us.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to leave you behind.
No, we were by ourselves too in the kitchen, and he asked me to sit down at the table and have that whole conversation. There was nobody else in there. So I wonder if he talked to your mom about it before, or if he just spur of the moment said, I gotta say this or what. But as an adult, I look back and go, my goodness, if I ever thought I wasn't loved, that is one moment where somebody really said, I love you in a very specific way, to say, I want to take you with me. You need to come be part of my family. Is such a special experience. And even though at the time it embarrassed me, I think it was another one of those moments that was really important, because what it said really was, you matter. Right. You're important. Right. You mean something to me. And even though I always felt those things from my dad, it just meant something very different to be in your house all the time and just be one of your family and just say, we're moving, come with us. Right. Did that validate for you maybe that you were one of the family, like, that you were, I wonder if it validated something for you that you meant as much, you meant that much to him, that it wasn't just that you were my friend, that he truly loved you that much, and saw you kind of as one of his too. I mean, yeah, it definitely validated something for with Margie. Margie would say to me sometimes, "Why can't my kids be like you? You never yell. You're neat. You put your dishes away. You cleaned up after yourself. I don't understand why my kids can't be more like you." And that, I know she didn't really mean it, but what she was saying, she did. No, she didn't. What she was saying was, I appreciate who you are. Right. And that meant a lot to me, because I was like, I'm really doing good here. I'm doing good here. I'm not going to get kicked out. I don't know why I always thought I would not be invited back. And I don't think that had anything to do with you. I think that had to do with what was going on with me. Right. to just go, this may be my last time here. Because, you know, by the time I went to summer hour to our middle school, that was my 5th school. So
it's crazy.
Nothing ever lasted. So what I learned in life is that, well, this is going away anyway. So don't get too comfortable.
Right.
Know? So when I started getting really comfortable, then I go, you know, those little moments where Margie would say something like that, I'd go, okay, so I still have more time here.
Right.
It's still more time here.
That makes sense. And I guess us moving had to have been hard on you.
It was, I became extremely depressed.
Yeah.
I was really sad. And my mom actually got really worried about me because I think that's why she threw that party at the end of the school year, is because she was trying to get me out of it. I did not want to go to school. I did not want to participate in school. And my mom, to her credit, kept saying, there are other kids you were hanging out with Becky. Why don't you just hang out with one of those kids? But like I said before, I thought those kids were your friends.
Right.
And I was your friend, but I wasn't their friend.
But I think you were their friend. Yeah.
I think I was. In their mind, I was, but I was so insecure and such a little broken little girl.
Right.
That the only person I trusted, you know, another part of this dynamic is girls in middle school can be drama.
Oh, yeah.
And complicated and mean. So if I saw any of that, well, that's what I was living with at home.
Right.
So I was like, I can't be a part of any of that. I can't be involved in any of that. So I would be involved in it in a very peripheral way.
Right.
You know,
and there was some of that in the groups that we were. I tried to not let that bother me kind of as much. I mean, I'm sure it did at some whatever, but I think too, having you gave me confidence. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just because I had you. So kind of, to me, if they didn't like us, then I didn't care that they didn't like us because we had each other. I mean, take us or leave us. But, you know, after I moved and I would run into people would ask about you. So I do think that they thought of you as their friend too.
Huh.
I saw them later in high school, you know. It was hard on me to move too. You know, I only went to the house one time when Mom and Dad were building it because I did not want to leave. And it was off a dirt road, and Swanee was country. It's not that way anymore, but there wasn't even a red light in Swanee. I mean, it wasn't a small town as Bowden or Bremen, but it was. And you know, the kid, I always tell people, the funny thing is, at summer, I remember we would have the dances in the gym. And we would have Mark McCain and Steve McCoy, the big, you know, Z93 DJs, and the dances were awesome. I got to summer hour, and our dance was in the cafeteria after school with a boombox.
Oh,
and
my.
The parents standing around playing the the music on the boombox. I mean, it was a culture shock. It was way different.
Yeah.
And I had to leave you, and I had to leave the house, and I had to, and so. It was tough. I mean, it was tough. It was a tough move. And, you know, I don't know. I don't think my dad, it was a money thing. You know, he sold our land and built whatever. And that's what he always did. He invested and built. And then he bought the land in Swanee, and he made a neighborhood there eventually too. I didn't like that either, but that's just what he did. But it was tough. I mean, yeah, it was tough on both of us. It was hard.
Yeah. I thought that I don't think I understood how important I was to you. I just thought it was from me. You were super important to me. And not that I wasn't important, but I didn't understand what you explained to me when we were adults.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, it was just, I mean, you were my best bet. I mean, I have some best friends, but our friendship was way different. I mean, you were like a sister, but better. You were like and the thing is, you were so kind and so sweet. And so, the one thing, if anybody ever said to me, what is Leanne? You're loyal. You're so loyal. You're just a loyal person. And so I don't want to get emotional, but when I think back, I mean, that's where I said it didn't matter to me about the rest because I had you. And you were so loyal to me, probably when I may not have even deserved it at times. But, I mean, I loved you. I love you. I loved you. And I'm so glad we had that. I mean, we were so lucky. I mean, I had my best friend across the street who I didn't have to share with anybody else. Didn't even have to share you with your mom, really, because I think she was just, you know what I mean? She was just glad you were. So it's not an only time. Yeah. So, I mean, I used to get mad when she wanted you to come home and clean. Because I think we had a housekeeper probably. And I remember you would always clean my room for me. So I would be like, why do you got to go home and clean? Because I just wanted to be with you 24/7, you know?
And we kind of did that. We were together 24/7.
All the time. All the time. And Amy, you know, is 4 years younger than us. Mm-hmm. So now as adults, it's different and we can be friends and, you know, but back then, I mean, we're 12, 13. She's 8 and 9 years old. She was just pain, you know, at the time. Mm-hmm. So it literally was like having a sister my age. I mean, yeah. And it was just, I mean, and I can remember I was boy crazy. I think I was way more boy crazy than you were.
You were in love with Frankie.
Frank Ficalori.
Yes, Frank Ficalori. Yeah. He was adorable. He was. And
remember Jeremy Turner with his perm?
He had his perm and his Jordache jeans. He always wore Jordache.
Oh, they all had Frank wore Jordache jeans, and we'd go to the skating rink. And I don't know, did you? I loved going to the skating rink, but did you enjoy going as much as I did? See, I look back.
Go ahead.
I look back at things and think, well, did Leanne did she just do them because I wanted to? And did you really have fun? You know, or that's what I kind of thought about over the years is because you would, you know, you were just game for anything. I mean, like your daddy.
Yes.
Easy going, you know.
I did enjoy the skating rink, but I think you definitely enjoyed it more than I did. Do you remember this guy named Chris? I never remember anybody's last name.
Chris Rust.
Yes.
Was it Rust?
Yes.
Blonde hair.
I had the biggest crush on him, and he asked me to couple skate one time. So I couple skated with him, and I had on some off-brand parachute pants. Remember those parachute pants with the zippers all over them that you got from merry-go-round?
Oh, yeah.
Well, my mother would not buy me the merry-go-round parachute pants, so she bought me the Marshall's version that had elastic in the waist. And I wore them skating, and Chris asked me to couple skate. And when we were done, he sat down. Remember, I had those built-in benches against the wall? Sat down, and he pulled my pants down in front of everybody.
I would embarrass you to death.
To death. I was so embarrassed, and I was actually really hurt.
I think I remember that.
I thought he liked me because I had a big crush on him. And when he did that, he just made me a big joke. And I was so upset. So I mean, I'm sure I went back to the roller skating rink after that, but I'm pretty sure I didn't look for any kind of couple skate activity.
Right after that.
I was devastated. I was so hurt.
Yeah. And see, those are the things I just didn't realize. You know, to me, I didn't realize your mom made you wear, she wouldn't buy you the pants you wanted or whatever. I mean,
I didn't realize.
I didn't realize. I mean, I realized some, but I didn't realize things like that, you know.
No, I felt really insecure about a lot of that stuff because, you know, I wanted like an Izod shirt like everybody else had, and she would not buy me one. And then finally one day she found one at Marshall's, and she always kind of was she was always kind of like that, where I begged for those parachute pants forever, and she just was like, no. And the ones she got me, they're just pitiful. They had they were reversible. She was so happy because she was like, they could be black or gray.
She was proud of that, wasn't she?
She was. Her big Marshall's fine. But whatever. You know, that's the least of what was going on over there.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I felt the same about you. I felt like there was no one more loyal. I felt super safe. Like felt like I could tell you just about anything that I would have been comfortable telling somebody, you know? I think at that time I kept a lot of feelings to myself, and because what I really wanted to be was happy.
Right.
You know, I didn't want to feel all those other yucky things. I just wanted to be happy. And when I walked in your front door until I walked out of your front door, I was just happy.
It was your escape. It was your escape.
It was love and joy and happy. And it was a place where I could exhale and not watch everything I did and said and not take 21 vitamins and eat this food that was crazy. And I could just be and not feel like someone was watching me be to make sure I was being the right way. I mean, you remember we had white furniture. She wouldn't let us sit on the furniture.
No, she wouldn't. No, because when the snake got in the house and my dad came to kill the snake, that was part of what she was worried about was her white furniture. She was always worried about the white furniture.
I was never allowed to sit on the furniture. I could sit on the floor or the hearth of the fireplace, which was in the room where the furniture was. But, I think now and I go, who has a kid and says they can't sit on that? It's not like I was a toddler eating chocolate all the time.
Well, and it's not like you were messy either. You weren't messy at all. I mean, that was just, who knows what was going through I thought about the other day, I saw Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and I thought, I can remember Judy saying all she would eat was the vanilla almond, whatever it was, because it was healthy. I can remember her saying to me, this is the healthy ice cream. I need to get a carton of that and read that. Like, I guarantee the sugar content is just as much.
Right. I know. I was telling my sister-in-law the other day, she was talking about, like, we did like a food sensitivity test, right? And one of the things that she's not sensitive to is because she had a lot of stuff that she is brewer's yeast. And I was like, oh, I don't know if you even know this, Becky, but when my mother made popcorn for us, she would put.
No, I didn't know that.
She would sprinkle brewer's yeast all over the popcorn and then a little bit of Parmesan cheese to hide it because I had to eat brewer's yeast regularly. So probably once every week or so, that would be dinner. It would be a big bowl of popcorn covered in brewer's yeast.
I remember her making popcorn a lot.
All the time because she put brewer's yeast on
and
it.
And the Parmesan cheese I remember, but I didn't know about the yeast.
You were yeasted.
Yeah. That all makes sense now.
Right.
I kind of know why I didn't ever want to eat. Like, let's go back to my house and eat.
That's why.
I had the good snacks.
You did. You had that closet in your kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I used to go in there and look at all that stuff and be like, I just want to take one of everything. And I was always hyper aware that I was a guest in your house, like that wasn't my house, even though it kind of was my house.
Yeah.
Just, I think that part of me that goes, I can't do anything to get kicked out of this house would always be just hyper aware that I was a guest.
Right.
So I never felt like I could go in that closet and just take anything, but I wanted stuff so bad. You guys had those like ding dongs that were wrapped in foil.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was like, my mind is blowing because I don't think I definitely wasn't allowed to have anything like that at my house.
No. And I can remember you kind of being careful of how much or whatever you did if we did eat something. And I used to think, Judy doesn't know your mom don't know what you're doing when you're over here. Do what you want. Yeah, and I didn't know. I mean, oh my gosh, you should have just taken what you wanted. I mean.
Well, I know because I feel that way now too about anybody that walks in my house. Eat all you want. But when you are, it was just so important that I didn't do anything wrong.
There's nothing we could have done to make you feel different than that because you obviously were very, very welcome. And I can remember some of the times your mom, you would get to spend the night during, on the school night. And to me I just literally wanted you to spend the night every single night and just be there 24/7. And you talk about telling things. That's the one thing about you. I knew I could tell you anything and you would never, ever, ever. I mean, do we have to define what best friend is for people? I mean, we didn't have cell phones back then, but I could call you at any hour. You would have come right over. It didn't matter. You kept every single, I had a best, you were just there 24/7. I had you to tell anything and everything to you. You never, ever betrayed my trust. You never would have. Loyal, so loyal.
Well, I don't think you did for me either. I don't think
I would have never told. Yeah. You could. I mean, I never told any of your secrets or any of anything. Anything you told me was, I was never gonna, because I mean, I loved you. I mean, I was never gonna do anything to betray you or hurt you or, because I cherished and I vowed. I may have only been 13 or 14, but I knew that our friendship was special. So I knew, I cherished that and I valued that. And I didn't ever want to mess that up either. I think I told you I don't know if we were texting or talking about the time that your mom was doing makeup. So she put the makeup on us and we went for a photo shoot. And I can remember her kind of fussing and, and I thought, I was afraid she was going to make hurt your feelings. So I didn't want her to fuss over me because I didn't want to do anything that made you feel uncomfortable or made you feel whatever. I wanted all of her attention on you.
And I wanted all her attention on you. That's what I wanted. So
yeah. It's interesting. And I wish, it's probably protection that I didn't. It probably would have bothered me had I known a lot of what was going on. You know what I mean? I don't know that my mind, my child I wasn't mature enough to handle. It breaks my heart now, though, to know. It really does. But you know what? Look at you now.
Well, that's true. But, the thing about it is I didn't really understand that a lot that was going on wasn't normal until I'd been in your house for a little bit. You know, because I had no perspective. We moved from Ansley, and Ansley had no kids. It's all really wealthy older people, or a lot of gay people lived there at that time. I went to a Baptist school that had 50 students from kindergarten to 8th grade, and nobody lived by me. So I had no children. The only children I played with were Stephanie and Wade when I went back to Bowden.
Right.
So this was a whole new world. And as far as I was concerned, I didn't really know that some of this wasn't kind of normal. And then you get in a normal situation and you go, hold on, wait a minute.
Right.
You're not forced to eat 21 vitamins. You're not forced to do these things that are really not cool. You don't have guys coming in and out all the time. You don't have all this instability. Oh, okay, this is really not normal. But I had no way of knowing that till I got into some normal. So, well, here's something that I think people ask. People email me a lot from my podcast and ask me about how I have so many good friends. Have you? You are my origin story of how to be and have a good friend, because we
learned that from each other. You were my first best friend. Mm-hmm. We were at the prime ripe age. We were both ready for it. We both needed it. It's kind of crazy that you come from I was in a small Christian school. The school I was in 6th grade, we were 6th and 7th grade combined in one room. And there were 12 kids in the class, I think, is that 18? I think it was probably more like 12 or 15. Mm-hmm. It was so weird. And I was so ripe. You know what I mean? I was just so ready.
And what an ocean our parents threw us into, because Summer Hour had 800 kids or something. Oh, yeah. It was huge. So, and now that you say that, I remember that you were at a small Christian school, but I don't think I knew that right off the bat.
Right.
You were so gregarious. You got off that bus and said, "What's your name? I'm Becky. What grade are you in? I'm 7th grade too. We're going to be best friends." Yep. You were just so gregarious that I would have never suspected that you were coming from a small environment. You were just so outgoing and so ready to put yourself out there. I did not feel that way. I felt very, very nervous about going to that school until I met you. And then I was like, oh, well, if she says we're going to be best friends, then it's kind of a done deal.
Yep. We're on the bus together and we're in homeroom together. And
off we went.
So we are each other's origin. I like that.
I like that too, because I think that what I learned from being, and I wonder if kids who are with kids for longer or, don't have a need like we had of going from the small environment to a large one, have a different kind of protection of their friends. Like what you were saying, we both would never have betrayed each other. I would never have lied to you. I would never have gone behind your back and done something sneaky.
Right.
I would never have done all those things that sometimes happen in friendships.
Right.
And I wonder if it's because it was so precious to both of us because of where we were coming from and where we were going and really kind of who we are as people, our general value system. Because
that's a lot of it.
a lot of it is your value system.
Mm-hmm.
And when people ask me, how do I have such good friends? I think I'm really good as an adult of identifying Becky's and non-Becky's.
Right. Right.
You're a Becky, you can stay. You're a non-Becky, I don't have time for you.
Right. Right.
It just kind of, it was a shortcut, right?
Right.
So all the people I have in my life now, I really value and I really trust. And I can't really think of anybody that's a friend that I would call a friend. I'm sure I have acquaintances and people I know, but people I'd really call a friend that I couldn't maybe tell anything to and say, please keep this to yourself. And I mean, my husband wouldn't be able to keep it to himself, but other than that, I mean, he's the biggest gossip in town, but other than that, my
I
friend,
wouldn't tell him for sure.
not anything ever. It will definitely end up on stage in front of everybody.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was the blueprint that
It was for
Yeah.
sure. We're so lucky to and I wonder too, when you meet, was it just the connection? Was there just a natural connection that was there and that's what it grew from? Or like you said, we both were ready for that friendship. But I think the values, I think you have to click and kind of, I don't know, but we definitely were, we both were ready to have each other. You know what I mean? I think we both needed each other.
It was divine. It was divine.
And we just clicked and we were so alike. Like this is how I kind of define my friends. I have friends that I could go on a trip with for 7 days. Do you know what I mean? Like you're a friend I could go on a trip with forever. It would just be easy.
Totally.
And then you have friends that you love them, but I'm like, I don't know that I could go on a week-long trip with them. So for me and you, it was just that right away. Let's just be together all the time, and it's just easy. It's just easy.
It was.
My boys have friends that they've had. My boys were at the same. We're in the same cluster. So we've lived in Swanee. I'm still back to Swanee. I went off to college and whatever, but so my boys went to Swanee Elementary, went to North Gwinnett Middle, went to North Gwinnett High School. So they were with, the same people. And Austin has what he calls double boys, and they bonded through sports. They grew up all playing sports together. They were on all the sports teams. They did travel sports, and that's his little crew. Alex has a couple. He's got one very best friend, Brian. They were in band for like 1 year, but they just kind of bonded. So I think it's just something that brings you together. Mm-hmm. And I've had friends, you have friends for seasons sometimes. I had friends that were very close friends when our kids were in preschool together, or I did PTA and they were my best friends at that time. But you don't have a lot of lifelong friends.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Lifelong friends are a different thing.
You're a lifelong friend.
You are for me too. And you know what? One of the things that I think makes a lifelong friend is that you laugh at the same thing.
Oh yeah.
If the same thing makes you laugh, then I don't know. There's something about that, because we were hanging out somewhere recently and this one girl that was with us, woman that was with us, was not laughing at anything that all the rest of us were laughing at. And we were like, that's so weird. We hadn't been with anybody in so long that didn't get all the jokes that we get.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. She's totally fine as a human being.
Right.
But you just don't, how do you carry on forever with that person?
You can't, because you don't ever feel comfortable. And I think that too, that's another key, is when you can be yourself. Like with you, I could be me. I didn't have to put on any kind of airs or any kind of faking of whatever. We saw each other good, bad, and ugly,
Very true.
And I didn't have that. That's the good friendships, the friendships that you can be your authentic. And that's what I tell your girls. I think God knew what he was doing when he didn't give me girls, even though I better get a granddaughter someday, because I would be a really good girl grandmama. But I can't deal, the nanny and the silliness and the meanness. I would have a really hard time with that, because I think I'd be right in the middle of it, which isn't the best, because you got to let them fight their own battles.
I always thought I'd have boys. I didn't think I'd have girls. And I thought I would be a terrible mom to girls. But I think because I am very boy-like,
Yeah.
In the way I think and the way I am emotionally, I think that was what my girls needed, is someone to be like, let's think about this logically.
Yeah.
None of what you're saying is making sense. I understand what you're feeling and I validate what you're feeling. But are your feelings validated? I mean, are they justified? Let's just back it up a little bit. So for whatever reason, these two souls were supposed to be mine. But
it's harder, I think, growing up. I think kids have a tougher time of growing up now than we did too, with social media. We know that. Everybody knows that. There's great things about social media, and I mean, like Zoom. Look at this. Here we are,
thousands of miles away, right?
But still face to face. Yeah. But if kids can just find that person they click with and not worry about all the rest.
Yep.
Because you got to have that one friend. You know what I mean? That makes a world of difference.
It does. And it does make a world of difference. It's hard to see. A friend of mine has a daughter who's really struggling with that. And her sister has two Beckys.
Mm-hmm.
And she hadn't found her Becky. And she's, getting on up into high school and is wondering what's wrong. What's wrong with her? When there's nothing wrong with her. She just hasn't been in the environment or with the right group. And I felt that way after I left you. I went to Bowden, and then I had really good friends, but nothing that was the same. I ended up hanging out with boys a lot because I just didn't like drama of girls. I hung out with girls a lot too. I had some, Cynthia was a best friend. Pam was a best friend, but it wasn't the same as my friendship with you.
Right.
And then when I moved to New York, I never found a Becky. And then I moved to LA and I still didn't find a Becky until I was in my 30s. So there was a long period of time where I had like 70% Becky, but no 100%. Well, now I have a couple of 100%.
Yeah.
So then when I explain that to my kids, I go, I was so lucky to have had Becky. But if you just take that one person out, look how long it took me to find somebody. It took me my whole life to find somebody.
Right. Your whole adult. Yeah.
And the reason we were together was such a specific set of circumstances that was just great divine luck. Mm-hmm. And that's it. If I'd been, like I said, if I'd been a neighborhood over, we may not have been as close because I could literally walk out my front door and into yours in 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So, it's hard, I think, for people to be patient and sometimes I think it's hard for people to trust themselves enough to trust another person. I think that your friendship and your family taught me how to be married. So my mom has divorced 6 men now. My dad's had 2 divorces. And I don't have a lot of happily married people in my family. They're married people, and some of them are happy, but I wouldn't call them, they were no Margie and Tony. And I'm sure Margie and Tony were flawed in their marriage too, but I remember they used to sneak in their bedroom in the middle of the day and lock the door.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they loved each other.
So much.
Dad was always grabbing on Mom and stuff. Do you remember that? I mean, she'd be standing by the table and he'd grab her. And they were very committed and very, they overlooked. I mean, I think in marriage, you either, if you focus on the bad, then all you see is the bad. If you focus on the good, and they just had a great relationship. In his mind, his job was to go out and make money and take care of his family and give them everything they needed and wanted. And my mom, in her mind, was to stay home and keep, have the household taken care of. That's how she supported my dad. And so when he came home, things weren't, not when I say crazy, I mean, it was great with all the kids. He loved having my daddy wanted everybody around. Amy's that way. Mm-hmm. Amy loves to have people around her all the time. Mm-hmm. But Mom's job was to take care of us and, to make sure Dad was fed and whatever. And they were on the same team. And she expected for him to, make the money and take care where she didn't have to worry about that,
Right.
So they worked well together. I mean, they loved, when Dad passed that night because he died at home, Mom crawled in the bed with him and she fell asleep, and that's what he wanted.
Oh.
When he came home on hospice, he wanted her with him when he died. And so, they'd been together since she was 14, forever, a lifetime. So, but she did that. She crawled up in the bed with him and she put her head on his shoulder and she laid there. And then that's how he passed, and that's what he wanted. And to me, that was the most selfless, act of love for her to. And they were that way. They sacrificed for each other.
Mm-hmm.
They sacrificed. So they were a good example of, and they did. They loved each other. They were, like you said, they'd sneak up in the middle of and lock the door.
They would, and he'd always grab her butt.
You'd walk in on them if they didn't. The door wasn't locked. No, I know. I think Amy walked in on them the most, probably, but maybe Benji. I don't know. Benji slept in their bedroom floor forever. That's probably why they were locking the door in the middle of the day, because he was in there at night.
Because he was always in there. He was the sweetest. I'm sure he still is.
He is.
I just remember him being the sweetest, quiet, just like a teddy bear.
He is sweet. He's still the same way. Benji's very smart and very level-headed and calm. And he's got 5 kids.
Oh my gosh.
He's got Ashton is at Georgia Southern. He's a freshman in college. Kendall's a senior at North, and then he's remarried and he has 3 little girls.
Oh my gosh.
And so we are all, because all the other grandkids, Amy's was the youngest, Ella, and she's 13 or 14 now. So she was the youngest grandkid for a while, but she wasn't. They were all stair steps. Well, then there's this big gap. So now all of us that have kids in college or out of college, now we've got these little ones and they're so sweet. And Benji is a really good dad. It's really sweet to see him with the 3 girls. And he's sweet. He's a sweet. Yeah, he was always quiet. Remember, he'd go hide. Like, he wouldn't open his presents in front of anybody. He'd go hide in the bathroom, and he was always quiet and didn't want any attention on himself. So
I just remember your mom having to stop in the middle of the day sometimes and sit down and snuggle with him. Like, he needed a snuggle in that middle room where y'all watch TV.
Yeah.
I'd just walk in on him and they'd just be arms wrapped around each other. And even though he was probably not very old, he was always big. He was a big kid.
Yeah.
So it looked almost like she was snuggling with an adult.
Oh, yeah.
He was. He was probably 10 years old, but he was always so big.
He was a football. He ended up being really good in football. He played college football. He played at Marist High School, which is in Atlanta. And then he ended up going on and playing in college. He was at Clemson, but transferred to Rice. So that's where he ended up grad. So he was and mom, mom loves sports. Remember how mom played tennis and competitive? So her legs would be all bruised up from jumping up and down on the stands. And our favorite story is one time Benji was running a touchdown and she's running down the sidelines. Run, Benji, run. And she hit somebody and just flattens them. And she just kept going.
That's awesome.
That sounds like her. Story.
Yes, it does.
Mom was pretty easygoing. Don't you thinking back?
You know what? She was really easygoing. And once I got to be an adult and had 2 kids, I was like, she was really easygoing. Because I just remember like the overall feeling of your house was that it was loud. Mm-hmm. It was a loud house. Like, everybody talked loud. Tony talked loud. Lee was loud. You were loud. Amy was loud. Benji was not loud.
No.
And Margie was not loud. Mm-mm. So she was always like the calm in the loud.
Yeah.
And I remember her, she may not like this, but I remember her most from the back because she was always at the kitchen.
She was in the kitchen. Yeah.
She was always cooking or cleaning. And so I just remember, obviously I remember what she looks like in her front too, but like the memories I have of your dad is walking in the door, walking straight back to his room, taking stuff out of his pockets, taking his shoes off, and your mom standing at the kitchen counter. Like those.
And Dad on the phone.
On the phone all the time.
With a cigarette in his mouth.
Yep.
Always on the phone. Time. And Dad would sit there and go, like he'd go, blah, 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 and he want more coffee, he'd kind of whatever, and she'd get his coffee. And up until, even the end, for a long time, Mom would do his hair or whatever, and she'd lay his clothes out for him. But she loved doing that. That was her act of service for him. That was her love language, I guess, is to care and take care of. And, but yeah, and we would all yell. We're still that way.
Yeah.
I've gotten better with my boys somewhat, but people that have come into my house, it's that way. Instead of, going upstairs and saying, Alex, I'll stand at the bottom. Alex, come bring and yell up the.
Yeah, I do that too.
We were just loud. Yeah. And there was so many. There was always people in our house. I mean, do you remember, would Mom ever spank us in the van, or was we past that age when we were in the?
No, I don't remember her spanking anybody.
We talk about when we were little, she'd have a hickory switch up on and she would be driving down the road and we're all fighting in the back of the van and she'd grab the switch and start swinging, and we'd all push to the back of the van where she couldn't reach us. So you don't remember, you never experienced any of that.
No, I think we were too old then. I just remember sitting in her little Toyota convertible listening to Def Leppard over and over, Def Leppard over and over and over again on that cassette player.
Yep. I remember us listening on the houseboat, laying up on the top, laying out listening to AC/DC. Oh, yeah? No, not AC/DC. No. Hold on. Walk This Way. Who was the rap group?
Oh, that was
Walk This Way.
That
just came out.
Run DMC.
Yep. Run DMC.
Funny. And do you remember listening to Eddie Murphy Delirious?
Yes,
until the tape broke.
Oh yes, over and over and over. And that was funny. That's still funny.
It's so funny. But I did listen to it recently, and I was like, "Wow, this would never be made today." No way. It never passed any.
No, but it's still. It wouldn't. But it was funny.
It was so funny. He was so funny.
He's talented. He's a talented guy.
That he is.
Yeah. So Mom and Dad were a good example of.
They were an excellent example. And the thing, I married somebody who grabs my ass quite a bit. And I don't think it's a mistake. I don't think it's coincidence. I really do think God went, pay attention to this whole world.
I'm going to place you here.
Yes. So you can pay attention, so you can create this, because this is real love, real happiness, real communication, including the yelling at each other. Mm-hmm. This is what real happiness and family looks like. It's not always peaceful, but it's always family.
It's real. It's real.
Yes.
And I think my mom, my dad worked a lot. So I don't know if you picked up on it, but I mean, with Bert traveling so much. I mean, your life, I've thought about that, before. That it's crazy how a lot of your life kind of mirrors what the life was like. My mom had to do everything, take us to practices. I was the oldest, so I got dropped off at this field, and she was going to this field, whatever. And her job was to take care of us. I mean, because Dad was working all the time. Mm-hmm. And with you, Bert's gone, to where. But I think that's you're happy with that, right? I mean, that's what.
It works for sure. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I wouldn't miss a single minute of my kid's life, and I feel really bad that he's had to. But you're right.
But working makes him happy. My mom will tell you with my dad worked because he loved to work. It made him happy. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to find what makes you happy. Like, not everybody can stay home and take care of their kids and that be their whatever. There are some people that would go crazy. So it works for y'all because you enjoy. And for Bert, I mean, that's his God-given talent too. I mean, I can't imagine Bert being stuck at home.
A banker?
No, he would be fired the first day. But I'm just saying, it works because that's what and so my mom, she didn't mind. My mom wanted to be with us. She wanted to take care of us and whatever. And she was happy my dad had something that made him happy that he could do.
Yeah, I think someone told me a long time ago, it's a very old-fashioned thought, that is this is a very old-fashioned thought, and I'm sure people are going to go, oh, I can't believe you said that. But if you just think for a minute about, let go of all the political correctness in your brain and just think about it for a minute, okay? A man, like you said, is very happy when he's doing something he loves. So a woman supporting that creates a very happy cycle.
It does.
It doesn't mean the woman can't do something that she loves also, but to not be able to support, like when when we had to make a choice, I was writing. I was making more money than Bert was at the time. I was getting all kinds of meetings all over town as a writer, and he was just starting out. And I thought about what she said to me, and I thought, what is my goal in life? My goal in life is to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily to say to God, this is what I need to be happy. I need to be a successful writer. I need to be these things that mark something. That's not what I asked for. What I asked for from God when I prayed was, I want to be secure and I want to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So how you get to there is different for lots of people.
Right.
And how Bert and I got to there was, I realized very quickly, me supporting him will bring me security.
Right.
Me supporting him will bring me happiness. I get happiness from all these other places that have little or nothing to do with him.
Right.
They just don't have a paycheck like his does.
Right.
So who cares?
Right.
But I think we were brought up to believe that mattered.
Yeah.
That it mattered. And your mom and dad are a perfect example of it not really mattering. And
no, I mean, Mom played tennis. That was her outlet.
Totally.
She
I remember
found the thing and it fit around the schedule. We were in school. I can remember feeling bad and her going, I don't know. Here's some Tylenol. You got to go to school. I'll be done tennis match at 11:30.
Yeah, right.
But she needed that. She needed that outlet. And you found your things that, but she formed it around. My dad couldn't have worked and done what he did if my mom hadn't have been supportive at home, because he couldn't, and then he wouldn't have been happy, and then she wouldn't have been happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think women get a real bum rap for choosing to be supportive of their husband as opposed to a traditional career like a nurse which is a wonderful thing to do. If you can work and that makes you and everybody in your house happy, then freaking go for it.
Right.
But there's no way I could have worked and Bert pursued his career to the fullest. And I am so happy that I made that choice to stay at home and put my writing on the side. I've started writing again. I'm really happy about everything that's happened and exactly the way it came. Exactly the way my life happened is the way it was supposed to happen, because what did I ask for? Happiness.
Yeah.
And security. And I didn't put parameters on how I got there.
Right. You trusted.
I trusted. I have faith. I pray every day of my life. I've prayed every day since I was really young. And I find myself not asking for specific things. Like I want a new house. I ask for things like security and happiness and peace and space. Like we were in a small, tiny house, and I kept asking, we need more space. What does that mean? Does that mean we need a new house? Does that mean we need a house in the mountains?
Right.
What is it?
Right.
So
you trust God to provide what you need. You have faith.
Exactly right.
And what he sees.
That's right.
And that's how it should be. It shouldn't be it's what he, because his plan for your life is better than anything you could ever plan.
Oh.
And he knows way more than you ever know. And you moving to Norcross back then, you know what I mean? He had a great plan.
It was a great plan.
It was. Yeah. I know. I'm so proud of you. You're in your life and your girl. I've got to meet the girls.
I know. I haven't met your boys.
No, I know.
That's just crazy. That's just crazy. Now we've just spent this whole time professing our good friendship, and we haven't even met each other's kids. We've met each other's spouses at least.
Yeah. That's just life, though. That's, and we will. We got time,
We got time. I got a couple more years of one in high school, and then I'll be freewheeling. I'll be able to come.
It's different. So you've got Georgia driving, right?
Georgia's driving. She's
Wasn't that
senior.
A whole new world?
It was. You know what?
It may be different for you in California. Well, here, when they start driving, we're like, here's the keys, hit the road, But I loved it because I didn't have to drive them to practice and drive them to here. And I felt like I had a whole life again. Huge block of time.
Huge. And, Isla is not super excited about learning how to drive. She's 15. And I don't know how it is in Georgia, but you can't get your learner's permit till you're 15 and a half. So
wow.
She can't get her permit till January. And then she has 6 months before she can get her driver's license, right at 16. And she is like, I don't think I want to drive. I don't think I'm ready to drive. And I'm secretly going, but I'm ready for you to drive. Because when your sister goes to college, I don't want to go back to driving.
No.
I've got
She'll
spoiled.
have to. Here they get their permit at 15, but they can't get their license for a full year. Mm-hmm. So if you wait till you're 15 and a half, so they make them drive a year. But then if you turn 18, you can just get them immediately or something like that.
Yeah.
I wonder what's made her nervous to drive.
Probably riding with her sister.
Or Bert. Does Bert drive well?
Bert doesn't drive. He hardly, if we're going somewhere together, I'm driving. He just never drives.
I drive too.
Unless he drives himself by himself. I mean, it's never. I mean, as soon as I got pregnant, one of his first statements was designated driver. And it has never changed.
Yeah.
So we got in the habit of I just take the keys and drive because I know.
I drive too. I'd rather just drive.
Yeah, me too. So,
that way I'm in control of where we're going and how fast we're going and whatever we're going.
Isn't that the dang truth? How fast we're going, I'm in the passenger seat going, buddy, what are we, 85? Come on, let's push on the gas to move forward. Come on, you're driving so slow. But anyway, well, I know you got somebody coming for your garage. Is it your garage?
Yeah, I'm having my garage door. I'm getting it. The seal on the bottom is my garage isn't level poured. The slab isn't level. And so the seal, I need a thicker seal. So that way one corner of it, because I'm getting spiders. It's all spidery around here this year.
It is?
Lots of spiders. And I'm tired of having to blow out my garage all the time. And I think if I seal it down at the bottom, you know what I mean? Then it'll
help.
It'll help some. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, it'll help.
So and he's going to service it, whatever, while he's here. They grease it up and whatever.
Tune up.
So I love your room. I love that wallpaper.
You do?
I do.
I love it too. That's my little podcast studio.
So pretty. I know. I love it.
It's my one girly spot. Everything else in the house is pretty neutral. And I was like, nope, I am going to girly it up. And I'm not really that girly of a girly girl, but I saw this wallpaper and I was like, I got to have that
pretty.
wallpaper.
It's just pretty.
It's happy.
It is. It's pretty. I like it.
Well, Becky Wood, I will always know you as Becky Wood.
Yeah.
I love you so much.
I love you. I love you so much too.
The gift. I mean, as much as I've told you about the gifts you and your mom and dad and your family have given me, I really genuinely in my heart don't believe you will ever really understand them. They're super deep and irreplaceable. You are irreplaceable.
Well, you're irreplaceable to me too. So I hope you know how much I love you and how much I value and cherish you and just how proud I am of you too. I'm so proud. I'm so happy to see you happy and see you good. And I'm just happy. Makes me happy.
Same here. I'm proud to see you happy and doing good too. It really is a blessing.
Mm-hmm. I love your dogs too. I love your big old, we had TJ that was similar. The brindle one's beautiful.
Oh, is he? She is such a sweet girl. But I tell you, TJ's the first dog I loved. He was a Mastiff boxer mix, right?
Yes. Yep.
I just thought he was a boxer. So when we were getting these Mastiffs, Bert was like, I think I want a bull Mastiff. And I went, no. We want a boxer. Trust me. My friend Becky had a boxer when we were growing up, and that's the dog you would want. And we went to look at boxers, and I was like, that dog is tiny.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
TJ was awesome. Yeah. I loved that dog.
Wasn't he sweet?
Yes, he was like a Mastiff.
Yeah.
They're the sweetest, biggest love bugs. They're just happy to see you. They're always happy. TJ wasn't quite as drooly as mine, though.
Well, I was going to say, though, my daddy loved to take him in the truck and would feed him French fries, and he'd shake his head and his jaws would, and he'd slobber. And so maybe, but he wasn't quite as big as yours. And so his head probably wasn't quite as big, but he did have some slobber, but he was so sweet. He was a sweet boy.
And didn't he break his leg?
Bear, remember
Bear broke his leg.
Bear broke his leg. He was in that cast for a long time.
He was. It had a big loop at the top, right?
It did. Yeah.
And I was like, is that like a handle? Can you pick him up?
No, I think it was just to go up around the hip, maybe. I don't know. I've got a picture of him. I've got pictures. I need to make copies of my pictures because I've thought about, do you have a lot of pictures from So I've got pictures that I need to make copies and send you of us, and I've got one of you and Fatty, a really good one of you and Fatty.
I pulled a picture out of me and you for this podcast, and I don't know what I did with it because I pulled it out in like May. It is the funniest picture. We are doing the splits.
Oh my God.
In my living room, and you did the splits like this, and I did the splits like this, and my mouth is wide open because we're screaming, and you've got one hand in the air and you're smiling.
I don't know if I've ever seen that picture.
Oh shit! I wish I had. Dang it! I wish I had. Dad, burn it. I wish I had it because I pulled it out specifically for this podcast. And now I have no idea what I did with it. And I was so hurried. I'm so sorry I was late.
Oh, you're fine.
I put 4:00 on my calendar. But that's
for California time.
So I just made the mistake. If I had been home, I probably could have found that. But it's a great
you'll have
picture.
To send that to me. I know. I'll gather mine and send them over. What I've got, because I've got the one of TJ with that cast. Right. I've got one of you on the toilet. We opened the door and snapped it, and you're screaming. And I think people talk about Isla. They don't realize how much she does look. When I look at her, I just see you.
She does look an awful lot like me. She really does. I think she's settling into being okay with it. She didn't want to. I don't think nobody wants to say, you look just like your mama. I don't think that really bothered her for a little bit. But she's starting to go like, okay. That's pretty good. That's good. She actually looks a lot like my dad. She doesn't have my little button nose.
No, there's something that's a little different about her. Yeah.
She has his nose, and she has his eyebrows.
Yeah.
And his skin tone a little bit. So we're not exactly the same, but pretty close.
I see.
The big mouth.
I see in the eyes. I do that with the eyes.
It's the big mouth, because, buddy, she got a big mouth. So did I. Yes, I got to find that picture. What's that?
Is she the most like you?
I don't know. I think they're both kind of combination.
Georgia seems kind of chill.
Georgia is...
But she's older.
She's older, but Georgia is... Actually, nobody ever believes this. She's just like her dad, but not loud. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So she has his same anxiety stuff. She has the same panic stuff. She's very kind of... And Bert can be this way too. She can be kind of cold.
Is she sarcastic?
Very, very sarcastic, very smart. But, Bert's terribly dyslexic, and she's not. I mean, she's a super good student. He was never a good student. I was always a really good student.
Yeah.
So she's got that kind of
the mix
part of
y'all.
me. And then Isla's the same. Isla is like me in that she's really goofy and really stubborn. And she very much knows her own mind, like clearly knows her own mind. Whereas Bert and Georgia sometimes really know their mind, and sometimes kind of have to figure it out. Where Isla and I are like, nope, this is it, and that's it.
Right.
And that's why she and I butt heads a lot, is because if we are not of the same mind,
and there's trouble.
We are both immovable. So, and Bert and Georgia are a little more movable. So, but Isla has... also has some anxiety and stuff like Bert does. And we jokingly say she has his impulse control. If there's a chocolate candy bar in this house, a soda pop, it is gone. She is going to eat that whole bag of Oreos. It's just gone. Yeah. So he's that way too. I'm not like that, and Georgia's not like that either. We're like, we'll have 2 cookies and be fine. And they're like, and 15 later, I didn't even know what happened. What about your boys?
Alex's mini me is a lot like me. He's a lot like me. He's always going to take charge, be the leader, outgoing. Both boys are very outgoing. Alex, was very academic. He enjoyed school, did really well in school. Austin did great, except he just was more my athletic. Mm-hmm. He loves sports, and he could care less about. Alex is more liberal. Mm-hmm. Austin's more kind of like me, more leans toward conservative. They're both tall. I've got big boys.
Alex looks so much like you. Every time I see him, I see you all in him. Yeah. Not just what he looks like, but his essence.
Oh yeah. He's we say he's a little Becky. He's a lot like me. And I get along with both my boys. Me and Alex have learned not to talk politics because my boys are older now. So Alex is back home, but he's a great roommate. And Austin's, out on his own. Austin's going to build houses and go into more of the construction. But Austin doesn't like a lot of drama. Austin doesn't, if you come at Austin too hard, he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. He just shuts down. You don't want to hear it. So you have to you can't come at him too much. Alex, he'll come right back at you,
Yeah. We call that fire hosing in my house.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a fire hoser.
Yeah, well, me and Alex are like, we can speak our minds and whatever, and then we're good. 5 minutes, we're fine. And we both know where each other stands. Uh-huh. Austin wants peace and quiet and doesn't want you coming at him too much. He can't handle Alex can handle it. You can kind of tell Alex exactly what you think and whatever, and he can handle it. Austin doesn't want to hear that. Yeah. Austin, it's kind of crazy because Austin's actually like my husband, Scott. Mm-hmm. So it's not their dad, but it's just weird because they're both ADD and they're both that same way. Scott, you can't come at Scott too hard like that either. He just shuts down. So it's kind of it's weird. Yeah, it's really weird how similar they are. Both are going to lose their keys. Both are going to, it's just really weird.
That's funny. And my kids are like that too now that you say it. Georgia can take just about anything. And I have to, she'll shut down if it's too much. If I'm too intense, I have to really measure myself with her. Yes. And I have to measure myself with Bert. I can't just fire hose Bert either because he will immediately shut down. So
Scott does too. Scott will go crawl in the bed and like, you've ruined my day and I'm going to bed. I'm going to sleep because I just can't. And I'm like, what? I wasn't that mad. Let's get up. Let's go do something. He's like, no, my day. You're just totally. I'm like, okay, well, don't take it personally.
Right. We're very similar in that. Bert will be like, why are you yelling at me? And I'm like, I'm not yelling at you. I'm just talking. Yeah. This is how I talk. Yeah. He's a passionate talker.
That's me. Yes. It's just passion. Enthusiasm.
Yes.
I feel strongly about what I'm saying.
Yes.
That just needs to be the Georgia girl in us, right?
I wonder because, I work out with a trainer and he is actually from Louisiana, but his parents are from Cedartown.
Okay.
Do you know where Cedartown is?
I know exactly where Cedar. Something near Rome. Yep.
Yep. So we work out with my friend Sandy, who's from Boston, but she's Chinese, but she's from Boston.
Right.
And so he gets all talking to us like this. You need to pick it up like this. You pick that weight up above your head. And then Sandy and I'll get in the car and she'll go, he just yelled at us the whole time. And I'm like, oh, he's not yelling. That's not
motivating us.
You heard that as yelling? That was not yelling. That was him just being really passionate. Well, it sounds a lot like yelling to me. And I'm like, it does not, I didn't even notice it.
Oh, yeah.
So
it must be the Georgia. Must be the Georgia thing.
But Scott's not from Georgia?
He is. Well, he is, but yeah. But yeah, he's not like that.
Different
He's from
kind of
Sandy
Georgia.
Springs. He's from Sandy Springs.
City folk. He's city folk.
His mom's from New York. His grandparents were from New York. So maybe.
No. He's Yankee born south.
Yeah. He was born in Georgia, but I don't know. He's different.
Yeah. Well, he grew up in the city. People are more refined in Sandy Springs than they are out in Norcross or Swanee or Bowden or Cedartown. Those places are just a little more, I don't know, to the core. I feel like they get to the core quicker. Yeah. And sometimes getting to the core quicker can be loud.
I guess. I don't know. I never mean to, I'm not a mean person. So I'm like, just because I tell you whatever doesn't mean I'm being mean. I'd rather know where somebody's coming from.
I'm the same.
Be honest with me. Don't that drives me crazy if I think they're thinking whatever and they're not telling me.
Maybe this is why we're best
friends. You're exactly right.
This is it.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, I love you, Becky.
Okay. I love you. Thanks so much for having me.
No, thank you for coming on and talking to me. I've been wanting to have you on for a long time.
Yeah. And we got to see each other soon.
Yes. I want to come see your mom too.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Margie.
She's in Swanee. She moved out of the house we grew up in, after Dad passed. She waited about a year and then she moved. Mm-hmm. But she's actually in a neighborhood where Benji lives.
Okay.
Same neighborhood.
That's great. So, I have to come do a Swanee tour.
I know. You need to bring the girls too. There's so much to do. Have y'all been through Atlanta? Y'all ever do, or y'all just go to the lake?
We just go to the lake. Yeah.
There's a lot to do in Atlanta. There's some areas of Atlanta I wouldn't take you to right now, but Buckhead's just gone to.
Has it really? How come? Just changed?
The last, COVID and all the mayors kind of, a lot of the police quit, and crime's just, Lenox Mall.
Mm-hmm.
So Lee had moved to Buckhead and he's selling his house, but Lenox Mall has gotten really lots of shootings and it's really changed.
Really?
Crazy. Mm-hmm.
Lenox was like primo.
Phipps Plaza.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, on the news, there's shootings carjack, people shooting in the mall. Like at Phipps Plaza, somebody was doing whatever and pulled out a gun and accidentally fired. It's really changed.
That's terrible.
Lots of carjackings and shootings in the mall. And this has just been the last year.
Mm.
The last year, just what kind of things going on, I think COVID's making people crazy.
I think it is too.
I heard a thing that said that when we first hit the pandemic, people had hope. Once we've hit this second wave, because I don't know where it is there, but here in Georgia, we've got a bad second wave. Once we hit the second wave, mentally people are like, okay, wait a minute. This isn't going away soon. And it's like your brain can motivate itself and charge on when you think there's an end in sight. But then when something happens like this and you're not quite seeing that end again, it really kind of puts people. So I don't know, but it's changed. Hopefully it'll get better again. But anyways,
hope so. Anyway, I love you.
There's
Becky.
still a lot to do, so you got to bring the girls.
We'll
do it. We'll do it.
Yes,
all
and
right.
I'll see you soon.
Love you.
I love you
all
too.
Right. Okay, I'll talk to you.
Okay, bye.